Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 50 of the Anime Banter podcast with your host, Turtle, Sean, and Mike. Thank you for joining us today. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. How about you, Sean?
Yeah, okay, I guess. Just the normal uh way of life. You know what I mean? Just going through the motions here.
The routine weighing you down.
Yeah.
I'm also doing all right. As you can tell, we have a little bit of a different episode here today for you all, and if you can't, I'm a little bummed. It's a sad subject we're discussing today, so apologies if I'm not as jolly as I usually am.
Very understandable.
So today we are taking a break from Free Ren to pay tribute to the legendary Akira Toriyama. He passed away on March 1st, 2024, from an acute subdural hematoma at the age of 68. Today, we wanted to pay tribute to the legend that had such a huge impact on our lives. I don't think it's a stretch to say that if it wasn't for Toriyama, that we wouldn't be having this podcast.
I would agree. I mean, we're gonna talk about it, but I mean, my first real anime watching experience was Dragon Ball Z on Toonami on Cartoon Network. So I mean, to to hear this news was upsetting, and it's sad. Yeah, I mean, nobody lives forever, right? So one day everyone's gonna pass, but not at the age of 68. I wasn't ready for that.
I was gonna say 68 is just so damn young still.
Yeah, especially with today's
By
day and
today's
age.
standards, yeah.
I just wasn't ready.
Mangaka though. Let's take a second to talk about mangaka. Um in there and if you write manga, a lot of them do not live very healthy lives. They have very strict deadlines. When they're sick, they just power through to deliver the next chapter. Um, they smoke a lot and they eat a lot of instant food because all they do is live and breathe the manga that they're writing. And so a lot of them you actually find are like do die young. A lot of them are not making it past their 60s, and it's really sad to think about that. Like they kind of sacrifice some of their life for our entertainment, which is insane to think about, but it's kind of how it works.
It's really sad to lose someone like that. So yeah, it's it's rough, man. It's rough. I feel for all mangaka, and you get some extraordinary people like Akira Toriyama, of course, who's touched the lives of people across the globe, not just Japan, not just the U.S., across the entire world. There are very few creators who have been able to make something on that such a grand scale. So yeah, all props to Akira Toriyama Sensei. Uh, Incredible.
Just hard to believe that he was working on that Dragon Ball Daima show that was supposed to be coming in the next year or so.
Yeah, he was always involved in his projects, even like to some degree. Even like the Dragon Ball Super manga, like he didn't draw himself, but he was still involved with character design and some story elements to make sure things were happening in a Dragon Ball way. So even if he wasn't doing it himself, he was still involved in these projects. So
And the guy who currently writes it, I think, Toyotaro, maybe it is.
I believe that's his name.
Sorry to everyone listening if I butcher that name, but he has to be devastated because, as we mentioned, we were talking a little bit before this, but Toyotaro was a like a doujinshi artist. Like he wrote Dragon Ball doujins, right? So, to get like handpicked by Toriyama to like continue his legacy, kind of. I don't know how far into the story he's gonna go. There's still money to be made on Dragon Ball even without Toriyama, so I imagine they're gonna keep printing it. And even if he's gone, I think the series is going to continue, like I said, because if there's money to be made, they will make it.
Obviously, we pass our condolences to all of his friends and family. Um, just a tragic loss.
There are a lot of fun tributes if you go on social media. You can find like a lot of other mangaka are like writing fun tributes with like their characters with Goku and things like that. It's really fun to watch, and it's really heartwarming to see the community come together over him.
Stephen A. Smith's paid tribute to him on his show. I don't think he knows the Dragon. He didn't know the Dragon Ball property. Someone just like I don't watch his show, but like someone like tweeted like who would win in a fight, Goku or Vegeta? And like someone obviously told him about the passing of Toriyama because he's like paying his condolences and everything. And but he was reading the tweet. He's like, who would win, Goku or Vegeta? Like it's like, oh, your producer told no one told you how to say Vegeta, did they? He kept saying
Honestly, it adds to it. You
it.
know,
Yeah, but
it's like when parents would mispronounce Pokemon when you were growing up.
he picked Goku. He's like, I don't know why. Something about the name, but I picked Goku.
He was right. Vegeta fans blown out.
Well, hold on now. Hold on. As a Vegeta fan, I have to stand up here. Spoiler warning, spoiler alert. I'll give you a spoiler warning for Dragon Ball Super Hero. I'll give you a second here if you want to pause or click away. Jump forward a few seconds. Vegeta wins.
Yeah, the movies aren't canon.
What? That's not true.
That's very true. Yeah, they're just gonna unless they turn it into a 26 episode arc in the anime.
Oh, please don't.
That's all it's gonna be. The
No.
next season, next little bit of series is just gonna be like 60 episodes going over the two movies because that's how they do it.
Oh, please. When it comes to Dragon Ball Super, like skip the first retellings. Just watch the movies. Those retellings are awful.
You can really skip like 26 episodes of the anime by watching two movies. It's pretty wild.
Absolutely. Watch the two movies. They're way better. They're a better way to take in that material and then just, start at like season 2 with the Universe 6 arc.
Speaking of Dragon Ball, what's everyone's favorite Dragon Ball show and everyone's favorite arc?
You want to go first, Sean?
Ooh, yeah. Just to let our listeners know, I am of the three of us the least a fan of Dragon Ball. Probably, I've never watched Dragon Ball to start. I
That's
never
okay.
actually finished Dragon Ball Z. I made like halfway through the Majin stuff, not
I,
Majin stuff, Babidi.
I won't I won't gasp at the Dragon Ball because I had never watched OG Dragon Ball as well. We're about to kill Turtle.
I have. Come
Yeah, I would say
on.
I think Turtle might win biggest fan here. But of what I've watched, I think it's hard to say because when you're the influence like Dragon Ball Z has on you, especially when you're a kid, it's really hard to like top that. Especially growing up like when we did in like the 90s and early 2000s, it was kind of everywhere. Like looking objectively, like I actually kind of like Super a little more than Dragon Ball Z in a lot of ways because I feel like they what is it? They've had time to like dwell on the characters and figure out where the plot can go. And I really liked the Beerus stuff. I really like Beerus, so I don't know why. Like he really speaks to me. Probably the best arc of all time is the Cell Saga. Honestly, it's probably my favorite arc. If I'd pick like a favorite show, I actually kind of think that I like Super a little more than Z. Because Z, boy, the filler, man, they could have like modern anime, like has it rough because they can't just make one fight last 30 episodes anymore. They actually have to wrap fights up in like 2 to 3 episodes because the modern audience does not have the attention span that we did back then. You know what I mean? So, sorry, it's not that they have the attention span; they have better options. Are you gonna watch Goku Power for half an episode, or are you gonna watch Skibbity Toilet? You know, I mean, I would watch Goku personally, but I'm from a different generation, and back then, if it was Goku or like funny YouTube videos, I might have picked funny YouTube videos. Who knows? So it's a different different options for young people. But the way anime was back then, it was just they would fill episodes with and if they didn't do it this way, where they dragged out one long fight, it was Monster of the Week type of stuff, like we got with some Sailor Moon. So Yeah, I guess favorite Dragon Ball show. That's a really long response. Dragon Ball show. I'm gonna pick Super Arc. I'm gonna pick Cell Saga.
I will say, I feel like a lot of people hate Super because of all the tournament arcs that gets done there, but
Yeah, but I love me a good tournament arc,
same. And I thought the show itself was fantastic.
and I love all the new characters. It wasn't just the Z Warriors on Earth fighting like one guy. You know, because that's how it's always been. It's like one or two enemies show up, the Z Warriors fight them. Like it was like, no, we're gonna introduce you like 7 or 8 new characters.
I do really like a lot of the new characters in Super. I think they did a great job introducing, new characters to, mingle with our existing characters. But not to like veer off topic, but did you say skibbity toilet? And what the hell is that?
You old man.
Like what is that?
Skibidi Toilet has like I gotta go to YouTube and fact check this, but it's like a weird video series made on I think probably with Gary's mod or whatever. Gosh, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like really random videos, and they're just like very bizarre. The guy's channel who runs Skibidi Toilet has almost 40 million subscribers.
Holy crap.
Um, you gotta check it out because it's just really random weird stuff that almost makes no sense. But apparently Gen Alpha absolutely loves it. Yeah, like Skibbity Toilet 67 Part 3 has 65 million views.
Jeez.
What? Hey, Skibbity Toilet, you want to send some of those viewers our way?
How do I get a Skibbity Toilet sponsorship, right? You know, like by the way, we're not sponsored by Skibbity Toilet because they don't need our help.
Yeah, sorry to be old, but like I don't do social media, so like stuff like this happens, and it usually goes right under my radar. But
To be fair, most people our age, especially like those of us who don't have kids, like have no reason to know what Skibbity Toilet is because it's stupid as heck.
okay, fair
Uh,
enough.
but but I don't know, maybe check it out sometime. Watch one episode, be like, wow, and then turn it off and never go back.
This is a thing. Okay, moving on.
Could you imagine if Toriyama is listening in from heaven and is like, "This is my tribute episode," and they're spending half it talking about Skibbity Toilet?
I just had to ask because I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, see, I'm chronically online and I watch too much TikTok. So I know what the younger generations are up to. I can't tell if it's good of me to be in the cultural zeitgeist of young people or if it's like kind of pathetic or if it's somewhere in the middle. But I try to keep up on like yeah, language the youngsters are using.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I love Dragon Ball. I love it. I mean, Mike, you and I grew up with it. Sean, you grew up with it too. Um, like I watched it on Toonami back in the day when it first came out. We originally got the Ocean dub, the Canadian voice actors, and then like in season 3, we had a sudden shift when Funimation came into existence and took over. So like I was there from ground zero watching Z, in America and be like, what is this cartoon? I've never seen anything like it. It's so different from what I'm used to seeing. Most American cartoons back then would just be like, silly event of the episode, and then the next episode would be totally different. Same characters doing a different thing. This like had an overarching story as well as like different arcs, and these characters, like built off of each other. They would be enemies, then they'd be allies, and it was just something I'd never seen before, and I was hooked immediately. I love it to death. I have since Z gone back and I've watched Dragon Ball. There are some incredible tournament arcs in Dragon Ball. Absolutely amazing. Very underrated. Not everyone has gone to check it out. I recommend it. It has the silliness that Super does, and when it needs to get serious for these tournament arcs, the fights are just amazing. Peak Toriyama fight. So I mean, check it out. And I even watched GT once. I don't know if I'm going to upset anybody, but I hate GT.
I
Absolutely hate
never
it.
watched it myself.
I thought it was your favorite.
I hate
You
it. It's
always
terrible.
spoke so glowingly of it. You're like, ah, this is the best thing ever.
Some people really like it, and if you like it, that's fine. I want you to enjoy it. I hate it.
I will say I thought the Dragon Ball, like the Dragon Balls turning into Dragon arc, was a neat idea. The fact that they're like, you use the Dragon Balls too much, you need to like pay for it.
I also like that idea. I just don't like what they did with it. I think they could have just done something better. And I know like Toriyama did some character designs for that, and that was about it. He wasn't involved in like the writing, and clearly that shows because it's not nearly as good as Ball or Z. But yeah, I can't do GT. I can't stand it. But Super, I like Super. Not as much as Z personally. But again, I think there's some great characters they introduced in Super. Beerus, Whis, they're very fun to watch. The Tournament of Power arc dropped a ton of characters on us. Some are totally forgettable and they're gone, but others were very memorable, and I would like to see them return. So yeah, I like Z. I would say is my favorite show. That's the first one I saw, left the biggest impression on me. But favorite arc, I gotta side with Sean, man. Cell Saga. It's just too good.
I'll say before I talk about my favorite show and arc, the one of the coolest things I loved the hit character from Super. Like that was such a cool character.
Yeah, Hit is very cool. I like him a lot. He's one of my favorites for sure.
And then just like the idea of all the different universes was a cool idea, and like it's like, oh, look at these different warriors from all these different like universes in this big tournament, and it was just all really cool. And we got to meet Zeno.
Yeah, what a goofy little character he is.
Yeah, I like when he destroys an entire universe because he doesn't like it. It's pretty cool. Uh, yeah, actually, of all of all the new characters, my favorite's probably Beerus, but my second favorite from Super is probably Jiren. Uh,
Jiren
I
was
love this
cool.
dude. He looks like a gray skin alien, like they draw from like, like a, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Like
Yeah.
the '50s design of,
Like
of
the '50s
aliens.
design of Alien. Like he looks like that, but if he was ripped, and it is, I don't know why it tickles me.
Yeah, Jiren was cool. I wish we got more Jiren.
He's so OP though.
That he is, but he was so cool. But I'll say my favorite was, to no surprise, Dragon Ball Z. It was the first anime I watched. Just being in that middle school age where it's like you come home from school and it's on and it's just like it hooks you. It's like this is awesome because like at that point you figure middle school, it's like you're just like you're too old for like the Saturday, like the super kiddie stuff, but you're like not old enough yet for like the more mature content. It just balanced that dynamic so well.
When you're a young man, you crave hyper violence. You know what I mean? Like we want the violence. Like that's what interests us.
And it was just like good storytelling as well. Like great characters, great like everything about it. Just like it's like the colors were awesome, like vibrant. It's just like, oh, this is all great. And then like who is this Goku character? Because I mean, at that point you probably didn't know what Dragon Ball was about. You're like, oh yeah, there's Goku, and then there's Raditz. And he's like, yeah, you're my brother, and you're supposed to slay this world. It's like you get some of the Superman vibes. It's like, what if Superman was sent to Earth to destroy it instead of like being its greatest hero? I will say one of my favorite episodes for Super was the return when Vegeta was like gooed, and
Yeah.
we got the OG Vegeta voice actor
Yeah, the
playing the
Canadian voice actor.
yeah, that was such a cool idea.
Shame on me, I forget his name. It was brilliant. I'm so glad Funimation did that. And I if I'm not mistaken, you know, let us know in the comments, fact check me. I think in the Canadian dub, they flipped and Chris Sabat went and did, that version of Vegeta, the pink goo.
That's fantastic. I hope they did that.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Favorite arc though, it's hard not to say so, but I'm gonna go a little off the rails and say the Frieza Namekian arc. Just because, I mean, think of it. Middle aged kid, you're like, okay, Goku's doing this. And then like this was before that, like the whole Game of Thrones stuff and everything. So it's like, well, the books were out, but like, oh, Krillin's one of the main characters. They won't like first in the Saiyan arc. It's like, oh, Goku's one of the main characters. They won't kill him. Oh, they killed Goku. Oh, okay, well, they wouldn't kill Tien and Piccolo and Yamcha and Chaozu. Oh, they killed all those guys too. And it's like, all right, well, through all of this, Krillin has always been safe because he was like buddies with like him and Gohan were the same size and everything. It's like, okay, well, they wouldn't do anything to Krillin. And then they kill Krillin and we get the birth of the Super Saiyan. I just remember how in awe I was of that episode. It's like just watching that transformation happen. It's like, holy hell.
Yeah, that's incredible. And let's shout out Krillin, a real bro. I'm a huge Krillin fan. I love Krillin.
He's the real winner of all of Dragon Ball, really. The world's strongest human,
Yeah.
hot wife, cop. I don't know. I guess that's good for him. I don't know.
No, I
My
mean,
narrative's losing its traction.
I mean, what else you gonna do with a martial arts ability when you're not training as a martial artist anymore? Cop's a good way to keep people safe, right?
I guess so.
He also went from being bald to having a luscious head of hair.
Very true. He does it all. Krillin's the best.
Dragon Ball was just like Dragon Ball Z. I know I touched on earlier that we probably wouldn't have this podcast without Toriyama. But Turtle, I don't know if you and I would be friends without Toriyama. Because I mean,
Honestly, that's a fair point.
like one of the reasons you and I connected so well was because of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even remember how we started, talking and hanging out, but I remember we would hang out, outside of like what was it, the middle school before they let us in the morning
Yep.
with a handful of friends, and we would just talk about Dragon Ball Z and Final Fantasy 7 and whatever other games and stuff we were watching. Like that was it. That's how we met.
And now it's like, I mean, just imagine without that, like you're one of my best friends. And
I
without
know.
Toriyama, we who knows if we would be friends.
That's crazy to think about, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, of all like especially like in our grade, we had a lot of the same and similar like friend cliques. You're the only one that I'm still in touch with on a regular basis. The other ones I broke off. We're not friends anymore. But like you and
Yep.
I have been friends since then.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you figure it was what, like 7th or 8th grade?
Yeah, I think so. So it's
But
it's awesome to see that and this has happened to plenty of people, but like this show has formed a friendship between you and I that is I think like unbreakable. Like you and I will be friends as far as I'm concerned forever,
I agree.
and it's because of Toriyama.
Yep. So thank you, Toriyama, for one of the best lifelong friends I could have.
Thank you, Toriyama, and thank you, Mike.
So Toriyama didn't just work on Dragon Ball Z, the Dragon Ball franchise. He also had a lot of influences in video games and worked on video games with character designs. And I know the three of us are always talking about video games and our love and passion for them. So I figured we could talk about our favorite video games that Toriyama was involved in.
What a great idea. Who wants to start this one?
So I'm going to pick the low hanging fruit beyond any of the Dragon Ball games. Because I mean, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot was fantastic, and Dragon Ball Fighter Z was also fantastic. But how can you not pick Chrono Trigger?
Yeah,
Like, low hanging fruit,
That
but
is low hanging fruit, but it's the right pick though.
that's fair. You can't argue it.
like, that game is incredible. And I really wish we would get some sort of remake or remaster just to get it on the modern consoles. Because we really have never gotten that with Chrono Trigger.
I saw something on my Google come across on my phone, like an article, and it was something about like one of the creators of Chrono Trigger thought it would be neat to have some sort of remaster, and I started drooling. I'm like, yes, please. Oh my goodness. Because I think the only way to play it is on either the Super Nintendo or the DS remake. So or not a remake, I'm sorry, a re-release. They added a few things for the DS, but it's basically just a port. So a remaster or remake of, Trigger? Oh my goodness, please.
How about you, Turtle? Favorite game?
Ooh, I mean, Chrono Trigger is the obvious answer, which you dropped, so I'm gonna throw a curveball. I'm gonna go with Blue Dragon because nobody's
Ooh,
gonna mention it. I just wanna bring it up. I don't even know if it's my favorite. I would say Chrono Trigger would be, and, you know, I will say I not too terribly long ago played my first Dragon Quest game, Dragon Quest 11, and I loved it. I don't know how involved he was in I know, like, they used his character designs for characters and the monsters. I don't know, a lot of that was reused from other games, they carried stuff over, so I don't know what was new, but just my first Dragon Quest game was 11, and it was great. It was awesome, so I loved that. But I'm gonna throw it to Blue Dragon just because nobody talks about it. It was one of the first and one of the only, RPGs on the Xbox 360. Nobuo Uematsu did the music. Mistwalker, the original Final Fantasy creators made the game, and Toriyama did the character designs. And it's a fun little game. Not super challenging, but just seeing his art style in like a 3D cell shade come to life in an RPG, a traditional turn-based RPG. I had a lot of fun. Most of the music's pretty great because, well, I mean, who doesn't love Nobuo Uematsu's music? And yeah, it's a fun game. Not a lot of people talk about it, so I wanted to bring it up.
that is a fantastic game. That's another one I'm surprised never got more publicity, more like games in the franchise. It was that one game and just never really expanded upon that.
It actually had an anime, which I think was aimed at kids. So I didn't really watch it, but it did get an anime.
I do also want to say 2006 was kind of a weird time for RPGs because like a lot of people have kind of left. You're people who like worshipped like Final Fantasy VII, right? In the PlayStation One era, into the PS2 era, another layer of great RPGs. But there definitely wasn't like a drought. But a lot of people I know who were RPG fans were just playing games like Halo and Gears of War and stuff like that during that time. And I know a lot of RPGs that I had fun playing. I never played Blue Dragon, but I played games like Infinite Undiscovery, and I'm like, no one plays this game. But it's like a really fun RPG, and I feel like you guys always mention Lost Odyssey, and I feel like Lost Odyssey, like people don't know what it is. You tell people about, you're like, oh man, it's one of the greatest game soundtracks of all time, a fantastic story, a fantastic system, and people are just like, what's that? You know what I mean? Like,
You guys can't see me right now, but as soon as you said Lost Odyssey, my eyes got real big. I
yeah,
love that
but
game.
it was a weird time for RPGs, and I feel like a lot of them kind of just went under the radar. It was very unpopular. I remember talking to people. They play like Oblivion and Fallout 3, and that's what started with like, oh, that's a JRPG. Oh, we don't play those. Like like JRPGs were snubbed and considered lesser than American RPGs. Oh, it's not open world enough. It's not um like you don't get to get mods on your computer that let me spawn 30 cheese wheels. Like,
What's also crazy about that time is the Xbox had probably more well-known RPGs on the 360 than the PS3 did at that point.
well known, yes, but more in volume, probably not. But you're right though. That was I'm trying to remember. Was Mass Effect released on both systems?
Think so?
I thought it was released on Xbox first.
Honestly, in that era of gaming, I knew like 3 people with a PS3, and like everyone else had a 360. So I don't even know what came out on PS3.
So it came out originally for the 360 in November of 2007. It did come out for the PS3 until, am I reading this right? March of 2008?
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't buy my PS3 until the end of its lifespan when the 4 came out.
Yeah, same.
So I have like a very small handful of games for that, and that's it.
But at the same time, yeah, it was like a dirty time for JRPGs. They were in the toilet. If you were playing Mass Effect and Dragon Age Origins,
It never came to the PS3 until 2012.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it just I feel like it just went unnoticed, which is kind of a shame because I heard it was actually pretty good. I just never played it myself.
I wish that they would re-release them. Like they would. The Switch could probably run that.
Probably, I don't see why that'd be an issue.
It's just such a shame that like these games are locked to the Xbox 360, and like most people who play Xbox are typically like playing shooters and are not interested in these games. So I really wish that they would get re-released or remastered or something to where other consoles can have them and give people more of a chance to experience those games. Because they, like you said, Sean, they just people who were playing the Xbox weren't playing those games, so they flew under the radar. And a big RPG fan who has like a PlayStation 3, they're not going to buy an Xbox to play one or two games. I totally get that. So like they never got the chance.
Let the people experience more of Toriyama's works.
That's right. Mistwalker, let your games out for everybody to play.
No, they have to release crappy mobile games. Don't you understand?
Well, I'm so upset. The last, not to veer off Toriyama, but just briefly, the last Mistwalker game that they did could be the final game. Fantasian is an iPhone exclusive game. Are you kidding me? I'm not buying an iPhone to play that game. Release that
Don't
for
worry,
Switch
because
or
it's
something.
it's probably loaded with microtransactions anyway.
Oh no.
I mean, any game that's released on the phone, I found like two or three games I've ever enjoyed on the phone because every other game is just like microtransaction riddled.
I wish I could say that Mistwalker wouldn't do that. It's Sakaguchi, man, but I don't know. I don't have an iPhone, so I haven't experienced it.
Mistwalker hasn't put a game out for the console since 2011. And it was the last story for the Wii.
Oh, I always forget about that one. I never picked it up.
Since then, it's been all mobile games.
Man.
You make more money on them.
You do.
That's the problem. Like, cause here's what we need. We need people to stop being dumb. I've never spent a single dime on a mobile game. I'm just a poor free to play guy. And guess what? I have so much more money because of this. Like just casually playing a mobile game, never spending money. I don't need to be a whale. Man, these people, you don't even get a guarantee. You'll drop, I think like Fire Emblem Heroes, man. People, you could drop $80 into that game and never get the character you want.
Yeah, I must confess, I've spent some money on
Don't
Fire
say
Emblem
don't say it, don't
Heroes.
say
I spent some, but I actually have not booted that game up in like 2 years. So I've stopped really playing it. But I have spent some money on there, but that's about it.
Yeah, you stop spending money because you haven't booted it up because it's boring. The fun is pulling characters.
Yeah.
Creating false scarcity. They're digital. They can give you the characters whenever they want, but people want to win characters that like the game could just give them. Because if you just give people characters, they have nothing to work for. I'm starting to see the gamification of things. And it's interesting that games where you have to like buy a season pass and play enough to gain like 50 levels uh, are are gain more traction than a full and complete game where you have everything at your disposal. Because if there's nothing to work for, I guess, then people don't want to do it. It's bizarre psychology that making people do chores like daily quests and stuff like that like gets them to do things more than buying a game that's complete and already gives you those things. But that's how it is. It's just how it is. Because we're dumb. We have dumb monkey brains.
I will say Marvel Snap probably does the money stuff right.
I agree. You can win a lot as a free to play player. That's how I felt about when I played Disgaea RPG. Rest in peace, American version. Um, oh, by the way, that's another one. Is that if the game that you like doesn't isn't popular anymore, they'll just shut down the servers and you lose everything forever. Yeah, the other game did things right as well. Whereas some of the games that I have downloaded, I get to you hit a wall where you just can't do anything without paying, or the grind is so difficult that you just give up. So Toriyama,
Yes, Toriyama. Let's get back to Toriyama. Let's talk about the influence he had on each of us. Sean, do you want to start here?
Yeah, I'll give it a go. So let's go over some of my favorite Toriyama works. And by the way, they're all Dragon Ball related. So don't think that I'm gonna pull some random Toriyama stuff because I don't know a lot of other Toriyama stuff. I've seen the list. The episode of Super with Arale in it was actually really funny. Um, and it really goes to show Toriyama's sense of humor. Uh, because honestly, I truly believe the man prefers to like write gag manga than write Dragon Ball. Like like how serious it was all the time and everything. I honestly believe he'd rather just like write jokes and laugh. But yeah, maybe just likes both. But let's go down the list. Favorite Dragon Ball video game. The video game I spent the most time playing was Dragon Ball Z Gaiden Saiyajin Zetsumetsu Keikaku. It's Dragon Ball Z side story, plan to eradicate the Saiyans. It is a game that never made it to America. I played it on emulator on a fan translation, and I think the final villain of the game is it's probably Frieza. But the point is, I beat it, which is kind of funny. But it was really. Oh, hold up! No, this might be the wrong game. So I was looking this up. The one that I played took place on the. It was like the Namek Saga. In I think the final boss of the game might have been like Captain Ginyu or something. No, it was the Saiyan Saga. Sorry, it was the Saiyan Saga. So I don't even know what the heck the name of the game was then. But anyway, I beat it, and it was a lot of fun. So in addition to that, you hear us mention it on occasion. The Dragon Ball Z card game, Z card game Z. There was the old one back in the day in the '90s, like the Score Z. There's the Panini version that was kind of like a resurrection of the Score version called we call it Pan Z a lot. And then there's the Dragon Ball Super card game by Bandai. I never really played the Super card game because I was mad that they cut the Panini version that I was having a lot of fun with. From that game, I have like play mats, a cell binder, um, a, a drawstring bag that says Dragon Ball Z on it, which is pretty sweet. In addition to that, I do have a set of Dragon Balls. My wife bought me for Christmas one year. She thought it'd be fun because she knows I like Dragon Ball. Oh, and the first cosplay I ever did at a con was the Great Saiyan Man. Back when my wife and I were dating, she made me a Great Saiyan Man outfit. So that was pretty fun. I also really like Gohan. I guess influence in my life. It just it was something fun to talk about with people. I didn't have cable growing up, so I actually didn't have the same access to Dragon Ball Z that a lot of other people did. But I knew I liked it because of the few episodes I had seen. So it was always fun like asking people to give me summaries of Dragon Ball Z, and I guess at the time, I remember being in middle school myself, and like I'd have a friend give me a summary of Dragon Ball GT because the episodes were airing when I was in middle school, and like it was really fun. I'd be like, "Hey man, what happened in GT last night?" And like he would just like that would be our home room every day. Would be him telling me the plot of Dragon Ball GT because I didn't have cable and I couldn't watch it, and I didn't have the internet back then didn't have the things you needed. But as far as all of us, I think his influence that he had probably the least on me because I didn't actually get to watch a ton of it growing up. I like it, but I didn't even finish the Cell Saga until I was in college. So but don't worry. With these guys here and a few other friends, we played a lot of Dragon Ball Z cards. That's for sure, and that was a blast.
How about you, Turtle?
Well, like I mentioned before, I got my start watching the anime back in the 90s when I was in middle school. And, since then, it has expanded. And, I have a handful of figures, some new, some old. I never really got into the Score Z card game. I think I tried to play it on a couple occasions, like when we would gather, but I just like I didn't get it. But when the Panini version, the Resurrection came out, the Pansy, I started buying the cards for that. figured out how to play, and I just fell in love with the game. It's a lot of fun. We still play it on occasion when we have some gatherings. I have quite a few decks that I've made from all kinds of different characters, and a ton of fun. I do also have a set of Dragon Balls myself because I mean, come on, you got to buy a set of Dragon Balls if you're a fan of Dragon Ball. It's a must. Yeah, I mean, I've got some of the video games. Sadly, I only have Legacy of Goku 1. I never picked up 2 or Boo's Fury, and apparently, like, Legacy of Goku 2 is like the one to play of most people's favorites. I only got the first one, and that game's kind of bad. So I never played its sequels, which are supposedly really really good. Um, but like the PS2 games, the three Budokai games, the three Tenkaichi games, I grew up playing those, played them to death, love them, and I'm very excited for the Resurrection Sparking Zero. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Very excited for that to come out to throw back to that old style of like 3D fighter. So that'll be tons of fun. But yeah, I mean, it's especially growing up, watching the episodes, going to school, talking about it with friends. It was just always on my mind. I love the action, the characters, like the character growth. Even like I think the most commonly mentioned is Vegeta. He starts as a villain, and as he progresses through the show, you watch him become like a reluctant ally to the heroes, and you never know when he's going to stab them in the back to a full blown, hero himself. As you get to watch him go through his transformation, his transition, as he realizes, maybe what I'm doing is wrong, is bad. Is there another way? So to watch him go through that change, I gravitated to him right away. But it's been a part of my life since middle school, and it will never not be a part of my life.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree. Played, watched the shows in middle school. I remember the one day, this was when we were still young in middle school. Maybe I was in like ninth grade, but there was a channel that my parents had that was like an anime channel or something. I forget the channel name of it, but I was just flicking through and they had the DBZ sub playing, and it was in the Android arc, which the dub wasn't even close to at that point. I'm like, what the heck is this? So I watched it, and it was the episode where 18 broke Vegeta's arm. And like they showed it all. I'm like, this is awesome. Like you didn't like because we got like they would censor some of the stuff in the dub on Toonami. So like to see some of that other stuff, it's like, whoa, this is great. I mean, I couldn't find that channel ever again, or like couldn't figure out when they aired the sub, but it's just like, whoa, this is so cool. But I remember in eighth grade getting some of the Score Z cards. I only played the first couple sets just because at that point I didn't have enough people that knew how to play the game, didn't know where to like really find events to play the game. But I remember I pulled a King Cold, like whatever the rares like rare at that point was, like super rare or extra like super secret rare, whatever the hell it was called. But it was a 7 Dragon Balls rarity. And I pulled the King Cool. I'm like, this is awesome. I've never pulled a card this rare before. And then just like always watching the show, always playing the games, playing the Budokai Tenkaichi games like a madman. Of late playing Fighter Z and Kakarot, which Turtle, you really should play Kakarot because it's amazing. It's way better than the Xenoverse games ever could be.
I hated those games. I'm sorry, fans. I just couldn't do it.
I gave each of them a try and I couldn't get more than 5 or 6 hours in to each. But Kakarot's fantastic. Turtle, you really should play the Kakarot game.
I've actually watched a lot of footage from that game, but I never picked it up, so I haven't played it myself.
But yeah, so played the big games. I might have found some of the games on via emulation at some point in my life. And then when they brought back the Dragon Ball Z card game with Panini, played the hell out of that. And honestly, if it wasn't for the Pansy version of that game, I probably would have never went to Gen Con, honestly. The one group of guys we would always play against at our local card shop, that's where we met them, and they were all really great at the Pansy game. And just like the last year of the Pansy game, they were all at Gen Con playing, and two of our group made the top 8 or top cut at Gen Con that year. And they were talking to me about it. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely going to Gen Con next year. Like, I'm totally in. And of course, that year I go to Gen Con is the year Panini killed the Pansy game, which
No.
was very upsetting.
That was devastating for me. I invested so much money in that game.
Same.
Me too.
Same. But without the Pansy game, I wouldn't have the friends that I go to Gen Con with every year. And like, these are the same guys that I play Lorcana with, that I'll do some Helldivers with. We saw Dune 2 together. So without Pansy, this group of people would just not be in my life. And like, when I think of Toriyama, I think of all of the friends that I made from Dragon Ball. And without that, it's like, how different would my life be? Like, how different would my friend groups be? How different would, like, my life be if I'd never found Dragon Ball Z? Which is just like, when I look at it from like a high overview level, it's like I have so many close friends because of Toriyama. So I just want to thank him for that, like for having such a big influence on my life. From the video games, the card games, the movies, the figures, everything. Just thank you. Thank you all for joining us this week as we pay tribute to the legendary Akira Toriyama. We hope you join us next week for episode 51 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will watch episodes 21 and 22 of Freeren Beyond Journey's End. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. If you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Turtle, you have anything you would like to plug this week?
It's been a little while since I plugged it. If you want to check out my YouTube channel, it's RPG Treasure Trove. Sadly, I've had to put a pause on that, so there's not been any new updates. And I'm kind of in the middle of a game. I'm sad to report I don't know when I'm going to get to finish that with the boys. But if you want to check out what we're doing or what we've been doing and any of the previous games, they are up there. So check it out if you'd like.
Sean, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a curveball here. Hit us up on social media if you want us to watch Skibbity Toilet from now on instead of any anime. I think maybe Toriyama would have wanted this. But no, I'm just we're good to go, Mike.
This has become the Skibbity Toilet episode now. That was not the plan.
Yeah, make sure you put that as one of the hashtags. Maybe some people. Maybe we'll get our highest listenership yet.
Sean, you never surprise me, Sean. Or I should say, you always surprise me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I got the meme knowledge.
The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, X, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube. Also, to celebrate our 1-year anniversary, we are giving away a 3-month subscription to Crunchyroll. To enter, email a screenshot of you giving the podcast a 5-star review on Spotify and a screenshot of you being subscribed to the YouTube channel along with your name to animebanterpodcast@gmail.com. Again, email us a screenshot of a 5-star review on Spotify, a subscription to the YouTube channel, along with your name to animebanterpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that email is animebanterpodcast@gmail.com. and please enter before March 26, 2024. Thank you all for joining us, and we will talk to you next week.